Hold on a minute.
I said hold on a minute! 1 minute!
Dolls, the Johns, the clowns, and then there was her, the Queen. I remember it like it was yesterday. The Newshawks were all over it. But she was a looker. That kitten had everyone in love with her. I don't care who they were. When she sang, the room went silent. Man, what a number. I figure it was just a matter of time before some John put her in a wooden kimono. When a dame's got looks in town like that, well, she starts to acquire enemies. Whether she deserves it or not, I'm not the one to say. There's always someone lurking in the alley, just waiting to take the light from the star. No one knows what happened to Whitney. After the coppers questioned her, she disappeared. A real snowbird, that one was, with her pockets always filled with sugar. The two of them were inseparable, good friends, real close, always staring at each other, the players in the vaudeville show would say. It was like a game with them. Everything was a game. We all wondered what happened to that broad once she was laid low. Some say she was locked up in a crazy house. Some say she traveled to exotic lands, spending her money on anything her heart desired. Still some say she lives here and is afraid to show her face after the public's claims of her jealousy over Crystal. But anyway, no one really knows what happened to the performers of the vaudeville show. They all kind of vanished, what with the moving pictures and all. One thing for sure is that she could have made it big. Yeah, she could have been a big star in the pictures if only someone hadn't murdered her. They say it was passion, a lover she refused. What do these journalists know? Word on the street was she didn't refuse many. I say it was pure and simple jealousy that did her in. Yeah, she could have been more careful. With a face like that. That's right. Some say there was a vicious fight between the two of them just before her last number. She was trying to explain she was ending it with one of her lovers soon. Who? Nobody knew. She was known to keep a few secrets close to the heart. You can never really trust the words of an artist. Whitney claimed they never had a fight that dreadful night, and those who said they fought were just out to get her. What really happened the last night she took breath? To tell you the truth, I hadn't thought of this mess in a very long time. Ancient history in my mind, and then... What's she doing here? I don't understand. What could she possibly want? I want to find that bastard that murdered my girl, and I want to kill him, she says. After all these years. Why now? How? I mean, what am I supposed to do? Anyways, I thought the cops had nailed some guy over in the 9th Ward.
You and I both know that guy had nothing to do with her murder. Besides, they let him off a few years ago, saying they made a mistake. Come on, detective. Don't you read the papers?
I still don't know why I deserve the pleasure of your company, Whitney.
Ah, so you do remember me.
Yeah, I remember you. Now, what do you want from me, kid? What are you doing here?
Well, I heard you're a peeper now. You know, a snooper. A regular old dick. Is that true?
Yeah, what of it?
So do you wear an iron dick? You never were very quick, Dick. I want you to find that bastard, and I want you to kill him.
Wow, this dame was really doing a number on me. She starts working a performance about how much she loved her and that she would pay anything to have the bastard who murdered her found. She was the one true love in her life. Just what was she getting at? I wanted to know. Oh, come on, detective, we were lovers, she laughs. Lovers? Now that's something to think about. Being that me and Whitney are old friends and that I'm a resourceful man, and I told her I would take on the case. But this isn't going to be easy, I assured her. You don't just open up a murder case after all this time and expect to solve it. That's when she really starts her act.
You're the only one I can ask for help. Everyone's forgotten vaudeville. Billy, John, Rhea, they're all finished. Look at me. My life is ruined. None of these jokers recognize real talent anymore. I just want justice. Nightmares torture me. My beloved is gone forever. Please help me. Oh, you'll help me, won't you?
Billy. There's an interesting subject. Yeah, I think I'll start with Billy. Why didn't anyone ever tighten the screws on that guy?
What do you mean you got nothing?
I mean, I got nothing, so go away. Leave me alone. The trail is dead cold, the meat wagon long gone, it's over. Come on, kid, let sleeping dogs lie.
But I thought I gave you all my money. What do you mean you got nothing?
Look! I said I got nothing. Now scram, get lost. Go find yourself a new toy to play with.
Lost myself in hallucination, found my way to a new dimension. Still can't seem to find that place in my mind. Every day I buy some time, hope that destiny will be mine. Give me what I'm hoping to find. Is it my time?
I'm Aeryk Laws, director of Vaudeville Nights. Take one. It is a film did a couple years ago. They're directed, and it was part of the 32-hour make a film competition, film festival, where you have to go out and get all the actors, get the script together, get as many people as you can involved, the music, the whole finished piece you have to do within like 32 hours. There's a lot of flaws and problems that you run into, and it's definitely not a masterpiece by any means, quality standards wise, but you see what you can do in such a small amount of time and see what you can pull together out of nowhere. You have to, just make things up with scratch, lots of duct tape, and I feel that's the way filmmaking is when you get in. You only have a couple weeks, or you have a month, or however much time and budget you have. It always seems like you're just pulling strings to try and finish things last minute. So I feel like it's a good preparation. It really gets you motivated to think quickly under stressful situations, how to handle things, and come up with some type of work with a small amount of time and practically no budget, and just pulling together the talent of all your friends and everyone. I think as an artist, because I do music compositions, scores, and filmmaking and visual art, I really like an archaic style. I like things from the turn of the century, late 1800s to like 1920s. I like belle epic looking pieces, but really right now, the best way for myself as a filmmaker is to make things digitally, but I want to make them look old. So the effects that I apply are lots of grain or Cinefex qualities or magic bullet on the digital film. And I really try to recreate the old look with modern equipment. I have a gallery called Seven Devils Parlor, and we have a film meetup group there, and it's a collaboration of a bunch of directors that are local who do a lot of similar things. They work in big feature films for a living, but they also have their independent projects they really like to do. And it brings everyone together once a week, and we talk about projects we're doing, the things we're involved with, the connections we have, the equipment that everyone has, and kind of collaborate on projects and critique each other on the projects we're working on right now. I'm working on a film about absinthe right now. It's a feature-length film about absinthe. It's going to be a documentary, but not done in the traditional documentary sense. And just finished the first draft of the script, put about a year and a half of research into it, and I think it's a great subject. I think a lot of people are curious and interested about, one of the most mysterious, alluring drinks that is illegal and has a worse rap than probably any other alcoholic beverage. And there's a lot of character to it. There's a lot of artists involved with it, and I think it's going to do really well.
Timecode Nola. The New Orleans Independent Film Program.
We have done this hurricane ceremony every year, asking for protection from hurricanes, or at least to make the hurricane more mild so that we can survive it. We do it every year, the third Saturday in July, because we're so terrified of the effects of a hurricane hitting New Orleans. We're quite vulnerable to flooding and disasters of that sort. I think most people who live in New Orleans really love the city as though it were a living entity, and we interact with it as if it had a soul. It's been an interesting process doing the hurricane ceremony every year. It was one of the first public ceremonies that we did. We had done some ceremonies to prevent crime, and over the years it has become really important to people that they be at the ceremony. And every year when a hurricane's threatening, I'm walking my dog through the neighborhood, and people in the neighborhood will come to me and say, "Oh my God, I didn't make it to the ceremony this year. Do you think that means I'm going to be wiped out?" And no, we did it, it's okay. Probably the greatest misconception about voodoo is that it's satanic and that it is paganistic, when in fact there is a supreme deity in voodoo called Bon Dieu, or good God. Between humanity and God are all these intermediary spirits called the Loa. And they are not gods, and they are not worshipped because they're not gods, but they are served. So a practitioner of voodoo is a servitor, someone who is serving the spirit. These spirits, in turn, guide everything in the universe under God. If everyone could bear in mind that everything they've ever seen or heard about voodoo is just complete trash, that it's terrible PR and has nothing to do with the religion, which is absolutely life-affirming, healing, positive religion about survival and surviving in a way that is meaningful and beautiful. In voodoo, water is very important, and the idea is that we are born out of these abysmal waters that surround our reality, surround our world, that our world is buoyed by these waters, and when we die, our souls return to these waters. Within these waters are contained all the souls of the dead and the souls of the spirits that return to us as guiding principles. So when we pour libations, we're acknowledging that we come from water, we're made of water, and we return to water. And whenever the water libations are being absorbed by the ground, it's the idea that spirit is receiving our prayers and absorbing them. Every year we do this ceremony and we call on a voodoo spirit named Aeryk, who is not traditionally served in reference to hurricanes, but in New Orleans, traditionally, whenever a hurricane is threatened, the church fathers bring out a statue of Our Lady of Prompt Succor, and she has averted the hurricanes in the past. Quite contrary to people's image of voodoo, there's no bloodletting, no people are sacrificed. It's actually a very beautiful, moving, and energized ceremony. I'm drawing what's called veves, which are cornmeal ritual drawings that call forth the power of a particular one of the spirits. And the veves are almost reflections in the waters of the cosmos above our heads. And they also are used to coax the spirit out of the waters and into physical manifestation. We call what's invisible to become manifest and to listen to our prayers and respond to us. All the individuals that are present make offerings to the spirit. We offer them food or drink that they like. And just as if you were inviting your grandmother to dinner, you want to serve her something she likes and not something that's going to repel her. We're calling on a particularly powerful spirit in the hurricane ceremony. Aeryk is ferocious. So you want to make sure you're offering her things that are going to please her and not make her angry with us, especially when we're asking for favors. While people are dancing to the drum rhythms, the energy shifts and you can feel it shift. And the drummers kind of propel the individual consciousness across normal lines of control, say, and allow for possession trance to happen.
A very dangerous Hurricane Katrina continues to churn in the Gulf of Mexico this afternoon. Winds are now 115 miles an hour, and the storm is expected to get even stronger.
As anybody remaining in Jefferson Parish needs to evacuate and be prepared to be gone for a month.
The wind is just starting to pick up.
A catastrophic hurricane. You know, it's hard to estimate how long it's going to take these recovery efforts.
Hurricane Katrina has now reached the top of the hurricane scale, a dangerous Category 5.
Don't tell me 40,000 people are coming here. They're not here. This is the biggest goddamn crisis in the history of this country. The city of New Orleans will never be the same.
Hello, my neighbor, I surely recognize you. Well, all right, I suppose. How do you do? So where you at, babe? Me, I've been a refugee too. But I know we can see this through. I try to keep smiling and stay strong for you. But right now, that's all I can do. But don't you cry no more, unless you really need to. Oh, and darling, if you do, you know that I will cry with you. If you can't hear what I say, we'll cry tears of joy one day. We've been as low as we can go. We will rise again, I know. New Orleans will sing and dance, my friend. We'll be together again. We'll be among the few, those who really know how it feels to go way below zero.
Rubber gloves to sort through the muck, dust masks. We meant to bring Vicks Vapor Rub to put under our noses to help with the stench. That was recommended by friends, but we forgot that. So that's about it. We have garbage bags in the trunk in case we can salvage anything at all, and that's where we're gonna dump whatever we think we can save. I'm gonna look in my closet, but I really doubt there will be anything that isn't completely covered with mold already. I'm much more nervous than I expected to be, especially just seeing all the houses that were collapsed and totally ruined on our drive-in. It's really unreal. You ready?
Yeah.
Throughout it all, I've been telling myself that everything's going to be okay eventually. It's just going to take a while. It's not our home anymore. It's just a house.
For the past few years, I didn't like the way that my city was shaping up, that the way that it was heading in. And I think this will be an opportunity for it to modernize itself, for a lot of the riffraff to be gone, and for things to come back anew. And with my personal life, with the house and all, I'm glad that everybody got out. Family, friends, our pets. Yeah, this is our street here. Jackie and I got out okay. That's the important thing.
This was our house. This is not going to be good. We're putting these masks on because it already smells like horrible, foul, dead garbage. And it's going to be a lot worse inside. Put your gloves in your pocket in case you need them. Anything inside is going to be disgusting. And he actually has asthma, and I'm allergic to mildew. So this could be a problem for us. No, the door is not an issue. They said they moved in. It's not, it's actually partially God. The shelves have fallen off the wall. What is this?
Saying that they came in, I guess.
The mayor of New Orleans has authorized house-to-house searches in areas affected by floodwaters from Hurricane Katrina. This is worse than I imagined it. They said they had mold up to the ceiling, but this is pretty awful. We'll need a flashlight to even go into the other rooms. I had no idea it would be this bad. Be careful. It's fine. Had I thought anything would have happened, I probably would have brought this with me. Here's Beavis and Butthead DVDs. A flashlight in the car? Our bedroom is through there, but we can't get to it because that door is swollen shut. I wish we had a crowbar. I think it's pretty definite now. I don't think I'm even going to bother looking in my closet. I think it might just be too depressing. We supposedly got 10.5 feet of water, but it doesn't really look like this house got 10.5 feet of water. The highest water line looks like it's right above the TV. This is all really disgusting. Be careful. You're dry as a bone. Well, wasn't that a good idea? Oddly enough, it looks like our dog food is okay. I'm not going to feed it to the dog, but not at this point.
It does look okay.
But it didn't get wet at all. Things will be okay eventually. This may not be our home anymore, but New Orleans really is my home. New Orleanians who have been here all their lives like me say all the time, when you live in New Orleans, it's like living in Oz and everywhere else is Kansas. Throughout everything, I've always felt like I would be able to come home again, even though this isn't our home anymore. And even though we probably won't be able to take much at all away from this.
We're New Orleanians, man. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The city talks to you. Once you are a certain way about it, once you've lived here long enough, not even if you're born here, because I've talked to many of people that I've met over my life that moved in from somewhere else, and they sound like I do, like they're in love with the city. I'm about 5 feet tall, maybe 5'1". I like to say 5'2", but Jackie always corrects me and tells me 5. So that's how high this is. This is one of the, I guess, later water lines after it had receded, after the water went down a bit. As you can see, it goes up for about 3 feet over my head, up to the, I'm not sure if you can see it. Let's see if I can give you a visual aid. Looks like that point was the highest, where it stopped right up under that that sheet. That's probably right at about 11 feet total for the neighborhood. This marking tells you what group came in, because there was FEMA, SPCA, military, 82nd, and like a few other groups coming in and doing these house-to-house inspections. This indicates who came in, which group. That's the date they were on, obviously. I forget how these two are set up, but one is the number of live people found inside. The other, I imagine, the bottom is the number of dead people that were found inside. Our house, fortunately, had neither. The ones in the front are doing fine. This sucks, man. Just so you know, this car was in my family as long as I've been. It's a 76 Cutlass. My parents bought it the year I was born. The way I've described it to other people is it's a friend of mine. My friends, the guys that graduated with me, that grew up with me, we're all still good friends. This is like one of the characters that's like our group. I'm Carl, there's Jermaine, there's Misha, there's Judson and Chris, there's the Cutlass. It was the Mach 5. We had all kinds of crazy stuff in it. That picnic table is from somewhere in this yard. This is our backyard.
It wasn't, you know, perfectly manicured by any means, but it wasn't the secret garden gone wrong either.
This was the
what this is.
giant oak tree that covered this entire back area.
And still does.
It still covers the entire back area.
We had a little cute garden and a nice little herb garden for the kitchen, but not anymore.
Neighborhood of the dead.
This is what it is. One of our neighbors, Kelly, described this neighborhood as one of the best kept secrets in New Orleans, and I really feel that it was.
I'm Jeremy Campbell, director of Hexing, a Hurricane. Hexing, a Hurricane actually came out of another film I was working on before the storm. That film was on The Little Voice in Our Head. It's called Meet Your Imaginary Friend. And I had been shooting some footage of a voodoo protection ceremony for that film 6 weeks before any of us knew who Hurricane Katrina was or would be. So once the ominous storm struck, I really felt drawn to pick up my camera and tell some of the hundreds and thousands of stories that were going on around New Orleans any given minute. To me, one of the most striking moments in the film is when Jackie and Carl return to their Lakeview home that's been flooded under 10 feet of water. It's the first time they go back to their home, and Jackie and Carl were willing to let me follow them in on this really personal, horrendous experience, and I thought they were just great. I mean, they were open and honest and articulate about what was going on, not only around them, but also what was going on the inside. And I just met them that day. I had put out some feelers looking for people who would be interested in sharing their story on camera. It was really important to me as a local to make a Katrina documentary. I never thought twice, should I do this or not? Granted, there are hundreds, possibly thousands of Katrina documentaries that will be produced in the coming years. And I felt a responsibility as a New Orleanian to tell the story of what it's like as a local to go through this. And I'm not so sure that can be done by people who come into town after the storm or haven't spent a lot of time here, enough years here to really get the city. So for me, it was almost like a responsibility, and I feel the same way for other local documentary filmmakers. I think it's a responsibility to tell the story of New Orleans through your film. Hexing a Hurricane is available on DVD at 1018films.com. Right now I'm selling advanced screeners, which are limited edition, and coming up this summer I'll have a final DVD with lots of special features, Katrina photo galleries, that sort of thing. But I'm really excited to announce that the film has been picked up by the National Film Network for distribution at colleges and universities across the country. The National Film Network is an organization dedicated to documentaries, and what they do is place films in up to 500 different markets by going through schools, universities, libraries, and they selected Hexing a Hurricane to be on their roster for the fall. I started 1018 Films in 2002 as an outlet to display my films, to produce documentaries, short films, and also to promote other local filmmakers. We do that through the Flickr Film Festival, which is a short film festival held here in New Orleans. In the past few years, I've tried to switch my focus a little more to filmmaking. That's just sort of a personal choice. I'm still continuing the Flickr Film Festival, but for now, 1018 Film's primary focus is certainly on documentary filmmaking. Since Hurricane Katrina, I haven't really seen a loss in momentum in the local filmmaking community. If anything, I've seen some things that have helped to make it stronger. Now, granted, there's not as many of us in some circles, but I've seen a lot of ideas bubbling, and there's been a lot of new common bonds formed, I think, because of the storm. I think not only in filmmaking, but just in the arts in general. I think, you know, to go through an experience like Katrina brings a community closer together. So areas like filmmaking, like the arts, that already sort of had their own niche bonds, I think it's just, you know, it's more of a cause. Our living here has become a cause because of the storm, and that brings out passion in people, and I think the momentum's going to just keep on going.
Timecode Nola.com.
TimecodeNola.com.
Crescent City.
8mm.
Independent.
Video. Log on to www.timecodenola.com. You heard me?
TimeCodeNola.com.
interrupt this program so that we may bring you live coverage of the following breaking story.
I'm here at LaGuardia Airport at the scene of the plane crash, where we have just received word from fire officials that at approximately 8 p.m., an aircraft veered off the runway just seconds after takeoff, scattering wreckage both in the water and on land.
Anna, did you close all the windows in the house?
I thought I closed them. I'll go and see.
Oh, that's okay. I'll just check around the house. Are the kids still asleep?
Yes, they're both sleeping. Do you want me to check again?
No, I'm sure they're sleeping. Good night, Anna.
Good night, Mrs. Smith.
An accident at the airport.
I heard about it.
I canceled my flight. Can't leave until tomorrow.
Thank God you weren't on that plane.
Yeah.
Why didn't you call me?
Just wanted to get home.
I'm glad you're here.
So am I.
Did you eat anything at the airport?
No, I didn't have a chance.
Well, I made Santa.
Oh, were you expecting someone else?
Mm-hmm. And now you've spoiled everything.
Think how many times I fly each year unnecessarily.
What?
No, really.
Honey, that's part of your work.
I don't have to fly to Hartford from New York. I could easily drive. And that flight to Philadelphia? I don't need to fly there.
You've never been scared of flying.
I'm not afraid of flying. I'm just questioning some of my priorities.
Well, we can talk about it when you get back.
Don't you see, Ellen? You're just avoiding the issue if you talk about changing things later. We should have talked about this sooner.
It's ready. John, you can cancel your trip.
Can't.
Why not? I mean, what's so important about this business trip that you can't skip it or deal with it from New York?
It's too late.
Why?
I've already made an agreement to be there.
What kind of an agreement?
Forget it, I'm sorry. Let's talk about something else.
Okay. You want to hear some gossip?
No, not really.
Jane called me about an hour ago and told me that she and Bob are getting a divorce.
Really? God, it's a shame. But I can't say I'm surprised.
That's not a very nice thing to say.
Well, it's honest. I'm just glad it never happened to us.
Well, it could always happen. You never know with these things.
It won't. You look so beautiful tonight.
Are we still going to London for Christmas?
What?
London?
Yeah.
Good.
Where are the kids? Are they in bed?
Yes, they are, and please don't wake them. It took me over an hour to get Susie back to sleep.
Don't worry. I'm just gonna peek in. I won't make a sound. You wake your brother. What are you still doing awake?
I had a bad dream, and when it came in, I woke up.
Don't think about that dream.
Daddy, I dreamed scary things.
Try not to think about it. So dreams are only make-believe.
I do, but they come back.
If you let those scary thoughts in too deep, they won't want to leave.
Daddy, you won't leave us, will you?
Susie, I have to go on this trip. But I promise you, I'll never leave you.
When you're not here, I have scary dreams. Why doesn't Paul have scary dreams?
Because Paul has let those thoughts into his head. You should do the same. See, when you go to sleep, think about me instead. That way I'll always be with you and protect you from those monsters. I won't let them hurt you, okay?
Promise?
I promise.
Okay.
What's wrong?
I got scared for a moment that something would happen to you. I don't think you should go to Philadelphia. I think that accident was a warning.
It's okay. It's okay. You're just tired.
I'm scared.
Everything's gonna be fine. Don't answer it.
Why not?
Just don't. It's not important.
Might be my mother.
It isn't. I hope you know that I love you.
It's only the phone. Hello?
Mrs. Smith?
Yes?
My name is John Stanley. I work for Air Northeast. I'm afraid I have to inform you of some bad news.
Did you lose my luggage?
Mrs. Smith, your husband, Mr. John Smith, was on Flight 411 to Philadelphia, and there's been an accident.
Yes, I heard about the accident, but it wasn't my husband's flight.
Mrs. Smith, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have to tell you that your husband did not survive the accident.
You've made a mistake. I'm telling you, my husband is right here with me. John? John? Anna, where did John go?
Mr. Smith? He went to the airport.
Yes, but he came back. I was just with him in the kitchen.
I just came for a glass of water. I did not see him.
John? John? John?
So you're a filmmaker, huh? You sit around with your partners talking about you gonna shoot this or I'm gonna shoot that. You ain't shooting shit. You gotta finish the sound bites and I need ADR and my soundtrack music ain't right. You ain't making movies if nobody ain't seeing them. Get the done, you bullshitting. We need your film. Send them in today. Timecode Nola, you heard me?
Timecode Nola is supported in part by the Louisiana Division of the Arts Council of New Orleans, Cox Communications, and by people like you.